Good morning, and thank you for your time. I would like to address the subject of the merits of telecommuting in our IT service environment as a solution to cut expenses and increase productivity while maintaining our current service levels. Now, telecommuting, as we all know, is just simply being able to take our standard work environment but be able to implement it at home, where through the use of modern technology, we were able to connect to the office environments and be able to utilize the office resources so that we can continue to do our work effectively. There are a couple things that I would like for you to look at as we consider this option. One, what I would like to address first is the various benefits that you as the employer may have concerning a particular employee telecommuting. Employers can look at the fact that if a particular employee telecommutes, one, you have a much better use of time. You don't have your employee sitting there in traffic being just waiting for your cars to go back and forth, because here in the metro Atlanta area during standard business hours you do have a great deal of traffic. It is not unheard of for somebody to actually have an hour-long commute. During such time, instead of sitting in a car, you can actually be in front of a particular computer. You can actually be connected to the network and actually be doing work. This is time that you can capture instead of sitting in a car doing nothing and listening to a radio or just on the phone or what have you. You can actually be doing something. Along with that, you can in terms of also utilizing your time, your employees can be more efficient. They can be able to be doing things. They can be able to be holding meetings. They can be able to be completing various projects, working on projects, preparing proposals for potential clients. As we do this, there are a couple of things that we may want to look at, because depending upon the particular employee and their job function, you may want to see whether or not this particular person's job is a candidate for being a full-time telecommuting employee, or maybe even a partial telecommuting employee. The differences are this. A full-time telecommuting employee may be somebody who literally is completely working from home, doing all their functions from home. That's whatever they may be doing in terms of meeting with clients, calling up customers, communicating back and forth, even with internal employees. All that is done from home, as opposed to somebody who is a partial telecommuting employee, where they may come into work a couple days and may stay at home a couple of days. This can be worked out through scheduling processes where, depending on the group that you are dealing with, you can utilize everybody in the group and everybody can have a day or two of telecommuting, as opposed to being completely off for the entire time. Now, some of these particular people, you may want to look at the fact that, okay, if they are full-time, what are their job functions? People who, for instance, may be sales-based employees, where all they are doing is contacting and following up various sales leads for the company so that they can pursue those particular options and that they can close those opportunities. These people don't necessarily need to be in-house. They can be remote, where they still have all access to all of the resources of the company because of the technology that they may be implementing. But in terms of actually doing their jobs, these people actually go out and meet the various customers. So they can still schedule that time to meet the customers. They can go out to the customers, present everything to them, give the entire sales experience to the customers, close the deal, yet they aren't necessarily based out of the office per se. Then you have the part-time person, where they may be somebody like more of a support staff type person, where they they are handling the back end of whatever the systems are, whatever the implementation may be. These particular people, where instead you may still need to have a physical presence to carry some things out, so as a result, you may have a rotational telecommuting schedule. You take your entire group, you have maybe one or two people off on a particular day, and you schedule the days out throughout the week so that there are still people there on site in order to handle some things that you may need to do as an IT support person. Like, for instance, if a hard drive goes down, if some memory needs to be replaced, if a server actually needs to physically be installed, you do have somebody there that is physically able to do the physical work. However, in terms of support, there's also a lot of work that is done remotely. You don't have to be in the data center itself in order to be able to support the actual servers that you may be utilizing. If you're doing troubleshooting on the server and the server's up and running, you're literally doing the same thing that you would normally do if you're there at the office. You are remotely connecting to the server to see what the server is doing, to see the metrics of the server in order to be able to troubleshoot what the potential problem may be and fix it. None of this has to be done by physically putting your hands on the server. So regardless of if you're on the fourth floor and the server's in the data center that's in the basement, or if you are remotely connected to the network from home and the data center's in the basement of the office, they both ultimately connect to the server the same way, and you do the same exact processes to troubleshoot the problems and fix them. You can utilize various technologies in order to be able to complete, the telecommuting experience. Today, we've got a lot of different technologies in place that the average person can leverage, regardless of whether they're in the office or they're at home, in order to get to the necessary resources that they need in order to complete the jobs that they're trying to do. From home nowadays, you can utilize VPN connectivity, which is a virtual private network. This is something where you can launch from your individual workstation at home. You can connect across the internet to the actual company's VPN site, and from there establish a connection between your particular PC at home and the office environment. Once established and authenticated, you now have connectivity from your PC to the office network. According to the way the office network perceives you, you are another system that is on their network. It doesn't know that you're at home. It just sees you as another network device. The same network device that you may be perceived as if you were actually physically sitting in the office. So there's no real difference. Along with that, we've now got a decent amount of collaborative tools that we can utilize between people so that we can share information in a more amenable way. We have particular products like Microsoft Link, Microsoft SharePoint. We have others like Cisco WebEx, where we can share desktops, we can share information, we can share files, we can be able to establish various meeting collaborative communication with multiple people, so that as we discuss things, everybody is involved, everybody is participating, and everybody's passing information back and forth, so that we are all informed of exactly what's going on in the process. If we need to collaborate, all it takes is just to select the various people that we would like to collaborate with, establish the virtual meeting, and everything proceeds from there. So it's not very difficult in order to be able to implement this. Even down to, we can route our various phone calls to whatever particular different device that we choose to. The phone call that may come in to the corporate extension can be routed to a smartphone, can be routed via Skype to other devices, can be routed to your individual phone, your cell phone, whatever it may be. So you don't have to necessarily be in the office for a phone call to come to your extension in the office. That phone call, even though it's being dialed to that extension, can be sent to whatever other particular device we choose. So even getting a simple phone call from a customer, from other people looking for particular support, all of this can be directed to wherever we choose. Finally, let's look at the different physical resources that we will be able to save. If we utilize people in a more telecommuting environment, you don't have to have the same type of office space. You don't have to have, that those extra cubicles for either the project managers, the sales force, people along those lines, that you may be able to say, hey, you can actually work from home. And you can still stay connected to our systems. You can stay connected to us, but you can work out of your house. By doing that, the company does not have to foot the bill, basically, for the extra office space necessary for that person. Along with not footing the bill for the office space, you now look at things like you don't have the same amount of power consumption. Basic in bottom lines, your electric bill goes down because you don't have the same number of people there and taking up the same amount of office space. Not only that, things like your heating, your air conditioning expenses, they also go down for the same reason. The people aren't there. Because the people aren't there, a lot of the physical extras that you may have to take on, you don't. So your job is still getting done. People are being able to work from home so that they can still connect. They can still be able to effectively access the resources that they need. They can still effectively set up meetings and things along those lines that they need. Now, in some cases where, like for instance, there may be a company meeting or so forth, or an announcement where it's an all hands type scenario, yeah, you may want to bring people in for something along those lines, and that's perfectly fine. They can still come in. There are still standard meeting rooms that everybody can get together in, and everybody can have their meetings and move forward from there. But as a daily basis, they may not necessarily need to be in the office. In conclusion, I hope you see the benefits of employees telecommuting and what this can do for your company and your individual work environment. I thank you for the opportunity to present this information for you. Thank you and have a nice day.